Hey y'all, Frostybros here. Episode 2 of Gaming Memories. This episode, we'll be talking about one of the best things that ever happened to a kid when they were growing up, when I was growing up, when you guys were growing up. The game Genie. Now, what does the game Genie do? Well, let me go to commercial and I'll be right back and talk about my memories with the game Genie, available on the Nintendo, the Genesis, the Super Nintendo, the Game Boy, and the Game Gear, but I do not own a Game Gear, so I do not own the Game Gear Game Genie. So, stick right here, I'll be right back.
Yo, video game dudes, talk to me! This is Game Genie, Brokaloo, the awesome video game enhancer for your Nintendo Entertainment System. Attach it to most of your video games. Double Dragon 3 or Super Mario Bros. 3. You can go to any level. Live forever. Jump higher. Make your own effects. And get radical firepower. Go to any level, jump higher, stay bigger, live forever. Game Genie, the radical video game enhancer.
And I'm back. What did you think of that commercial? Wow, was that true 90s fashion? True 90s Bill and Ted ripoff? True horribly stupid but awesomely funny now in our day and age. But that commercial is what got me to ask for a Game Genie for Christmas one year. And I did get it for the Nintendo Entertainment System. I actually have two of them here. And, well, I didn't have two when I was a kid. I had this one. I don't know what the difference is about this one here. I have no idea what the difference is here. This one says 1991, 9091. This one is just 90. So, this is a later release of it, I guess. But it came with this cool book. I have two books because one's missing the last couple of pages. As you can see, it stops on X-Men. And it's supposed to go all the way to Zelda 2, The Adventure Link. And this one is missing the front pages. That's one bad thing about these books, is they do fall apart really easy the way they were designed and put together. Matter of fact, my Genesis one I think is taped back together. Yes. Missing pages that fell out are all taped back together. But this was such a great invention by Galoob / Camerica. It was actually made by Camerica, I want to say, but released in North America here by Galoob. Maybe released in other states or other countries. Other countries by Galoob, but I know the Camerica was the original maker of it, and they actually released it in other foreign countries. So, Game Genie, the video game enhancer. Live longer. Jump higher. And all that fun stuff. There's the one that... Alright, this one has the front pages. What was cool about this is when you were a kid and you were having a problem with the game, and you owned the game Genie, you would just look up the game. Let's say I'm having problems with Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is page 80, so we go to page 80. What's my main problem in Ghostbusters? Is getting up those goddamn stairs. So number 3, immune to ghosts on Zool's staircase. Or stairway. The building was not Zool. Even Game Genie got it wrong. The game got it wrong. You think they would have fixed the problem, but that would have probably confused people. So yes, you put in that code, you can finally get to the end of the game. Unless you're that damn good at getting up those stairs, which I've never met anybody that was able to get up those stairs without the Game Genie. But other games in here, let's see. I mean, some games in here are just stupid to even have Game Genie codes for. Let's see here. Well, actually, it helped me beat Mega Man. Mega Man 2, I didn't need the Game Genie for, but Mega Man 1, Wily's Castle was just too damn hard when I was a kid. And Same with Dragon Warrior, Infinity Magic Points. Well, there you go. You don't have to worry about anything. You can beat the game now. I mean, you still have to get a high enough level to actually have the magic to kill the final bad guy, but yes, this was such a neat invention. I had so much fun with this. I don't consider this cheating. Well, it is cheating, but I consider it more of a, what it says, video game enhancer. I would have never beat some of the games when I was younger without this thing, and I probably would have never played them. Or after beating them to see this complete story and the ending credits, I would have never tried my hardest to do it without the Game Genie. This actually made me play Contra. Well, actually, I just used 30 Geigo with Contra, so that's a bad example. But just like that, that's a cheating thing, and then I eventually played it enough to beat it without the 30 Guy Cold. We used this for Jackal to beat it, and then eventually got good enough at the game to beat it without the Game Genie. The only problem is some games had more than one version of them, and this does not tell you which version it works for, because Castlevania codes in here do not work at all. Not a single one of them. So the Castlevania codes in here are completely useless, because you don't know what version of the game it was for. Obviously the game was re-released a couple of times. And last final thing I want to say about the Nintendo Game Genie is you only have 3 codes and no way to shut it off. But if you own 2 of them, you can't. Wow, this is really tight. You can do this, then put it into your Nintendo system, and now you can put 6 codes in. And another bad thing about this Game Genie is it will not work in the top loader unless you cut this flap off, because this was made so you could pull the game out of the toaster. So top loader, big no-no unless you cut the thing off, which would kind of wreck the value on it. Now, what was kind of cool when they came out with it for the Super Nintendo, I want to say the Game Gear also had it, the Game Boy and the Super Nintendo and the Genesis, is they had switches to turn the Game Genie off while you're playing it, because some games actually could not be beaten with it on. I should have looked up an example before I started making this video, but yeah, I mean, playing these games back then when you're a kid, and even to this day, I still will use the Game Genie just to quickly get through my gaming collection games and beat them, like, especially shmups, man. Shmups, man, is this thing a godsend. Especially if you've never played the shmup before and you just can't get good at it, or you just suck so badly at shmups like I do that you need to cheat to get anywhere in them. So let's look at Genesis here. We have Phalus, which is a pretty cool shooter game, and I don't have it available to show you. Unfortunately, not all the codes are in here. I mean, with all of these, there was a thing at the back of the book, the mail out. Right there's the one for the Genesis, and you would get every other month. You would get updated little Game Genie books. I don't have any. My friend's got a few of them with new codes for newer games. Because obviously, there's a lot more than 123 Genesis games. Eventually, though, they did release them. 190 Super Nintendo games. This is the updated version of the code book, 90 through 94. They did release the Game Genie with all the codes in it eventually in the last release of it, I want to say. But this one has a cool little flap to connect the game. There's your switch for the Super Nintendo right there. Turn it on and off. Genesis just looks... Actually, the Genesis one I think looks kind of generic. It just looks like a Genesis game with an extra flap on, or connector on top. But yeah, so many good memories with this. You guys probably have a lot of good memories using the Game Genie. What's a really hard game that I know I needed to use the Game Genie on here for Super Nintendo? Or you need to use the Game Genie if you can't play the game as well as you used to, like ActRaiser. I beat that game when I was younger, completely all the way through with no cheat codes or anything. Now, I can't even beat the third freaking board. So, but some of the codes in here are just like stupid, like Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. That is the beginner role-playing game. If you need the Game Genie to beat that game, you should not be playing role-playing games ever, 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 ever again, because that game is simplistically easy. Like, I beat that game the first day I got it. Well, not the first day, because I couldn't play it all day long, but you know what I mean. There's sports games in here, which I don't really see the point of those codes. The Super Street Fighter 2 has one code that makes it pretty fun. Makes it quick if you want to play it on the hardest mode to get the main storylines finished. And that is... let's see if I can find it really quick. And if you guys haven't tried this code out, you got to, because it's freaking hilarious. Maybe it was just regular Street Fighter 2. Nope, it is Super Street Fighter 2. And I'm probably boring you guys now because I'm trying to find this stupid one code. And it's the only code I ever used out of here. Huh. Maybe that's not in here. Or if it was just Street Fighter 2. Is there a Street Fighter 2 here? Let's look, shall we? Yeah, Street Fighter 2, 107. That's why I was looking wrong. It's the regular Street Fighter 2. The original one for the Super Nintendo is... Give me one moment here, people. I know this is stupid and that I should have looked this up before. Here it is. Players can hit each other no matter where they are, which pretty much means you start the fight, you just keep tapping that freaking goddamn fast punch or the low punch button. You'll hit him, he'll keep getting pushed behind on the screen, and then you'll keep hitting him. Now, the Game Genie for the Game Boy I did not have when I was a kid. Unfortunately, it only works in the original Game Boy. I think Game Boy Color / Pocket. It does not work in the Super Game Boy because of the way you got to put it in. I think it works on the Game Boy Advance also, but I'm not sure. But what's cool about this one, and I don't know if the Game Gear one had it also, is in the back here. Because it's a portable system, and you want to have the portable Game Genie. Back here, you open it up, and there's your code book. This little tiny thing is all your codes. And look at the small little type on there. You need almost a magnifying glass when you get older to look at it. I did not own this when I was a kid. I did own the Super Nintendo and the regular Nintendo one. Beat so many games. Firepower 2000, very, very great game for the Super Nintendo, but very hard. This helped me and a friend beat it. Genesis, Streets of Rage, if you're having problems with that. We went for a while there when my friend who got me into collecting, when he used to collect games, we would every weekend get together, throw in a system, either Nintendo, Super Nintendo, or Genesis, throw in the Game Genie, and just beat almost his entire collection and while we were drinking and having fun and smoking cigarettes and shit. So yeah, Game Genie, one of the greatest peripherals I think ever made for any system. It helped me out when I was a kid. It made me not so frustrated with some games because I could just throw in the code. Yeah, it's kind of cheating, but whatever. But I don't know what else to say about it, so that is my episode 2 Frostybros Gaming Memories. Done and over. Hope you enjoyed the classic Game Genie commercial and all its cheesy goodness. And if you remember playing with the Game Genies when you were kids, hit me up. Let me know what you thought of the Game Genie. Do you think it's cheating? Do you think it's wrong to say you beat a game that you were using this? Because to me, you know what? I still completed it. I still got the end credits, so I beat it. I had to have help to beat it, but I beat it. That'd be like, to me, that's like saying, oh, you didn't beat it by yourself. That'd be like saying beating the The Simpsons the arcade with 3 other people because it's a 4-player game. Well, you didn't really beat it because you had help beating it. Screw you. The whole point of these is to help you enjoy playing games that you don't play anymore. Like the commercial, well, a different commercial for the Game Genie actually said, "Hey, you get those old games out of the closet. Now you can enhance them and have fun with them all over again." Like Super Mario Brothers or there's one for Excitebike where you can actually jump so high you come out the bottom of the screen and land back on the track. You go through the screen basically. But yes, so Game Genie by Galoob. One of the coolest things ever that Nintendo didn't make for their systems. And I remember there was a lawsuit, but because it didn't actually steal any games, Galoob actually won. There was a lawsuit saying, but you know what, this enhanced it. People bought older games then that were still on the shelves because they were going like, oh, yes, I can beat it now. So, that's my memories with the Game Genie. A lot of fun when I was a kid, still have fun with it today. It does actually work in the FC Twin and FC3 Plus. Well, not the original Game Genie here because of the way you have to put it in. But the Genesis and the Super Nintendo both work in it. And for portable entertainment, don't forget the Game Genie for the Game Boy and the Game Gear. I'm almost up to 15 minutes here, so that's going to end episode 2 of Game Memories. Hope you all enjoyed watching. Thank you for supporting me with your comments and your subscriptions. Frostybros out.